Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome back to episode 83, I believe, of BF Live and Bank to the Future Live. We're returning now after a bit of a break where I was mainly streaming on the Simon Dixon YouTube channel. And because we took such a break, it appears that everything's broken on our setup, but have no fear. We will make sure that we get this video trimmed and get rid of all the rubbish at the beginning, and we'll go straight into this episode of Bank to the Future Live. So we wanted to return to Bank to the Future Live because we spent really much of the first half of this year. It's not there yet. We're in May. So 5 months in, just beginning the start of the 5 months. But we were working very much with our investors to help them build and get ready for the Bitcoin bull market, which certainly came. Last time we were live, we were giving some investor updates from companies like Coin Payments. And so today, to get back in the swing of things, we're going to be answering as many questions as we can. Maybe there won't be so many questions just because of the technical issues, and I'm not sure if everyone's got the link. But once we've had a bit of time to settle in, we'll make sure that we share those links so that everyone can ask their questions. We'll make sure that next week we're really back into the swing of things. And we'll share this link, even though we emailed. So a few things I wanted to go through. Firstly, I wanted to do a quick screen share, and hopefully the screen share is working. And I wanted to show you a couple of new features on Bank to the Future, which are awesome. We have been delivering so many returns this year that we have literally delivered thousands and thousands of different settlements, different swapping of private shares to public shares, dividends, token buyouts, all sorts of stuff. And we've been so busy at the team on all the corporate actions that we decided to take a quick pitch break. But while we were doing that, we certainly weren't sat back twiddling our thumbs. We were doing all sorts of stuff. So I just wanted to show you a new feature that is available in the fund section of your account. So this is a dummy account. Let me get rid of that zoom there, because I think the camera should be showing, not really sure. But if you've got some balance on your account, so let's say you had some dollars, we've released our new integration whereby you can get whatever currency you receive your dividends. We've been paying out so many returns recently, so many exits, so many distributions. If you receive them in Bitcoin, if you receive them in Ethereum, or if you receive them in a stable coin or dollars, then you can now convert them directly within the platform. So you'll notice that we've got these sell options here. So I can take some of my US dollars that are held in the account. Maybe I receive them as an exit distribution, and I can click sell here now. And subject to the limitations of what you can do within one trade, you can just enter them here and you can exchange that for Bitcoin or ETH, or you can take your Bitcoin, you can take your dollars, and you convert them through. So we're going to be releasing a press release about our partner that we've made this feature enable to, so that now you can receive your exit proceeds, your dividends, and depending on which currency, and you can convert them in. Obviously, when you send funds to Bank to the Future, we automatically convert that into stable coins for you. So now you can send any currency that's supported by Swift. It will end up as USD Star, which is our proxy for dollars held on the platform that are backed by either dollars at a bank or stable coins as well, so that then you can convert those and send those around. So it's starting to get really interesting in terms of what you can do on the platform now. So just wanted to share that new thing in case anybody hadn't spotted it yet. We've done our first 100 trades when we did a real soft launch from those that actually noticed the feature, and we'll be rolling that. So you'll notice that in your account, and we're about to make some of the press releases around that and what that means for investors this week or probably early next week as well. So I'm just going to pull up my notes. It's been so long that just wanted to go through some of the updates that investors maybe. Also, we do have a new format, and that is that we'll be using Slido, which is a technology that we tested out on our retirement plan B customers. It worked incredibly well, and we've been using it on the Simon Dixon YouTube channel. But this feature allows you to ask questions, and rather than us just trying to chase random questions that come up in the live chat, you can head over. If you scan that link on your phone, you can ask your question, or you can just use the link and head over to sli.do. And Azad is here. What's the code if they're going to sli.do for this one?
Just enter BF1.
BF1. Okay, so if you head over to sli.do and in the box, no account needed, just enter BF1. It will take you to this board. You can upvote other people's questions or you can ask your own questions. So I'm going to go through a bunch of updates and then we're going to be jumping into your question where Azad will be reading them out and we'll go for the ones on top. So use the Slido board. It's a lot better than just using and picking out some random questions from the live chat. Okay, first thing, looking at some of the companies. So just wanted to update people on many of the corporate actions that have been happening. If you are an investor in Securitize, you would have been sent an email, and Securitize is offering to existing investors the ability to take some preemption rights that we have in the next funding round. We will be launching that private pitch just for existing investors. It's oversubscribed, so we're going to do a very quick pitch, probably looking to get that turned around next week. And existing investors are able to subscribe to that. Securitize have just been killing it in terms of their growth. The slide deck was shared with you, but a lot of the information is confidential. Carlos and the team at Securitize are making sure that not too much of this information leaks. So it will be a private pitch just for existing investors. So keep an eye out on that. Get your funds ready because we'll be looking to put that live for existing investors shortly. What else have we got for you? In terms of the secondary market, we have had over this time period approximately a 50x increase in volume, which is great to see that now people are realizing that there's a lot of untapped value in acquiring companies from our secondary market rather than waiting for primary offerings. So the secondary market, while we didn't launch any pitches live on the primary market because we've been waiting for additional registrations and other things that I'll be updating you on in this video. The secondary market was the beneficiary from that. The great thing about that is that almost all investors that use our secondary market pay our fees for buying and selling shares on the secondary market using BnkToTheFuture tokens. And so that has led to approximately, looking at it today on this year, approximately 1,400% increase in the price of the BnkToTheFuture token. It fluctuates like crazy, obviously very volatile, but the use case for using BnkToTheFuture tokens to get a discount on the secondary market has seen a significant increase. Also, with deals that we know are going to be sold out very quickly, we've seen a big spike in people that are putting 10,000 BnkToTheFuture tokens, despite the fact that the price is 1,400% up on the year. People are staking those tokens. You obviously don't use them. It's not like a membership where you have to pay. All you have to do is purchase those 10,000 BnkToTheFuture tokens, put them on your account on BnkToTheFuture, and you will get 48 hours priority access to deals. Also, as more and more people are building portfolios, now that we've completed the retirement plan B education, which I will go through in a bit about that, we've started to see a lot more people with long-term portfolios, real plans of how that they're going to build wealth and build and protect their wealth as the industry grows. And that has really helped a lot of our investors to fully understand how to use the Bank to the Future platform to maximize all of it. And therefore, people are also upgrading to Premium Plus members, where they're holding 100,000 Bank to the Future tokens on the platform. And that way, whenever they invest, they get, now we are switching it. Now the price is up. The rules that we had before is every time the price 10x's, we knock a 0 off the number of rewards, but we're now switching that to a 1% kickback that you get in Bank to the Future tokens. And that's going to be done at the exchange rate at point of us issuing and closing those share certificates and completing the legal work. So great to see more and more people taking advantage of the Premium Plus membership, so they get that 1% kickback in Bank to the Future tokens. So the utility of the Bank to the Future tokens on all three sides is significantly increasing. More people are building portfolios, and so they're looking for those Bank to the Future token kickback that they get. More people are looking to get into deals that they're going to sell out very quickly, so they're becoming premium members. And more people are using the secondary market and paying their trading fees with Bank to the Future tokens. So great to see the utility of that coming through as we enter into these new bull markets. So obviously the premise of this was that now that the market cap of the entire crypto market, Bitcoin 1 trillion, and the entire crypto market over $2 trillion, depending on prices and fluctuations, we thought it would be great timing to bring back Bank to the Future live and share some of these important updates each and every week and make sure that we're taking some of your questions. In a sense, we were trying to warn as many people about and get into the Bitcoin bull market and start building long-term portfolios and retirement plans. We were also warning people about some of the tax grabs that we think are coming up now that, you know, the market cap of the Bitcoin and crypto market is almost the same size as a US dollar stimulus package, where, you know, the United States just prints off $2 trillion to try and re-stimulate their economy. So because so many of our clients were prepared for that, either they've been long-term Bank to the Future customers, or they newly joined the Retirement Plan B online coaching program, we were making sure that many of our investors get their tax structuring right, and they can rest at peace knowing that they've got the structures that are needed in order to weather some of the storms ahead, and pay the right amount of tax, not more tax than they need to. So an update on Retirement Plan B. Obviously, towards the end of this time last year, we released the free video series. The free video series had many tens of thousands of people view that and get a lot out of that. And that's still available for those that may not have seen it. But also we took on we stopped a closed cart at 500 investors that joined the Retirement Plan B online coaching program. And we're working on launching the portfolio builder feature in Bank to the Future very shortly, so that people can build their retirement plans that benefit from buying Bitcoin, from buying crypto assets, equity, lending. And we've been working hard on that, getting everything together so that we're able to launch that to the first set of 500 customers that joined us. Once that we have serviced them, we'll then be looking at taking on the second round of Bank to the Future Retirement Plan B online coaching program. We are completely oversubscribed. So we've got thousands and thousands of people on the waiting list. But if you want to be on the waiting list for that, you can head over to retirementplanb.com/sign_up. And that's where you can add your name to the waiting list for those. And that will be at the same price as we did for the first set of customers, most likely. So we'll be taking on 500 more. And we've already got many thousands that have registered to be notified as soon as that goes live. As I said, the secondary market, when we focused on that, we had approximately a 50x increase in volume. So it's great to see. The most frequent trading are Kraken and Bitfinex. Bitfinex is still number one. And when you head over to the secondary market, It places it in order of the amount of volume. So obviously nothing like the volume of a cryptocurrency or anything like that. We didn't expect that. This is still illiquid, but it's great to see that some of those buyers and sellers that are in different circumstances can be put together. We're very excited about bringing that. We're going to be launching a new secondary market. It's going through due diligence, a new market at the moment. And that was the last investor update we gave with coin payments. And coin payments is going to be the next market that we're going through, making sure that all the documentation from behind the shares that are backing the SPV are all set up and all correct. And that's being signed off by legal at the moment. So we're looking forward to bringing that to you as well as a new secondary market. And then we'll be moving into due diligence of the next deals that we'll be putting. Many of you have been asking about the Celsius funding round. We are waiting for due diligence in order to announce a date for that. But at the moment, they are going through the due diligence process, just looking for some contracts to be signed. But they've very publicly announced that they're going to be doing another funding round on Bank to the Future, locking in approximately a 25x return to the investors that only invested about a year ago, less than a year ago, on the Bank to the Future platform. So really congratulations to everybody that participated in the Celsius round. Full disclosure, I am also a shareholder through Bank to the Future in Celsius. So we're looking forward to getting more updates on the due diligence, and the legal team are reviewing that right now before we can announce a date once they've provided all those documents. For those of you that are Coinbase investors, we have been developing a process whereby you can provide your brokerage details, and then we can transfer your shares, the shares that are available for transfer, to your brokerage account. We've been working on a partnership. We've been getting the account open so that we can swap the private shares for public shares. Now, this may seem like a simple thing to do, but guess what? With anti-money laundering regulations, it's actually ultra complicated thing to do. But we're grateful that we've now been through this Coinbase process. We'll be sending out settlement agreements probably next week. So if you are one of the Coinbase investors, make sure that you've got your DTC number and you've got a brokerage account that can receive those shares. And we'll be sending out an agreement for you to swap those private shares into public shares. The complications are that we have to obviously complete KYC on all the investors behind the SPV. We have to make sure that the brokerage has those details. And then once they've got that and signed off on that, then they are able to transfer the shares once we control the shares, which hopefully we will have with us as soon as the brokerage has transferred those from Coinbase. Then we can set about sending the agreements out with our brokerage partner in order to send those shares out to you. The good thing about this is that this is the first time that we've had an IPO through the platform. And once we got this process all lined up, then we've also had announcement from other portfolio companies. Like Robinhood has announced that they're looking and planning an IPO. Ripple Labs have also announced that they're looking and planning an IPO. And Kraken has also been pretty aggressive in announcing that they are looking to do an IPO as well. So we have that process all lined up after doing the Coinbase one. Thank you, everybody, for your patience with us getting that and just getting through the bureaucracy in all of these middle people that are involved when you don't have a blockchain and you have lots and lots of different middle parties, as we do in the traditional market. So the processes for swapping out private SPV shares to publicly tradable shares is being refined. So that's great. And thanks to everybody and their patience. Other updates. So Exodus investors, congratulations. You are locking in a paper 158x on the original funding round. And indirect investors through, for example, Bitcoin Capital 3, I believe, we elected we sent out a vote for everybody. They can receive their shares. And if you elected to try and get in some of the liquidity, then we were just waiting for an update from Exodus on the next stages there and the final numbers. They did a Reg A plus funding round just to US investors. Don't quote me on this, but I believe the public information says that they've secured approximately $70 million or so. And we're exploring with them whether we can be a part of a Reg S non-US round. No announcements yet, no agreements there yet, but we're just exploring how that works, how that fits in with their Reg A plus regulations. But either way, 158x on the price that investors invested in the original Bank to the Future funding round. So we said all along that when you signed up and when you register with Bank to the Future, we even make you take a quiz to demonstrate your understanding that this is long-term, high-risk, high-return investing. Great to see some of those high returns and also some of the high risks that are not maturing into good deals. We've been giving updates on those as well. What else have we got for you in terms of announcements? For those of you that were investors in Storage, Storage gave an offer. So we've delivered out the tokens for those of you that wanted to swap out your equity for tokens. Those have all been delivered if you elected for that option. The token price exploded also afterwards. And you got the triple offer. So the returns have been great for those in Storage and for those that elected for that. For those that wanted to keep their shares or didn't do anything, then you keep the original contract, or it was exchanged for the updated class of shares. So that's all been done. For those of you in Bitcoin Capital 2, as a result of the investment in Storage, a dividend was paid out. For those of you in Bitcoin Capital 3, we recently paid out a dividend as well, and congratulations for the ginormous asset. Check out the Investor Zone if you want us to get up to date on that. We posted an update yesterday, and we gave the updated value of one of the shareholdings that are held in Bitcoin Capital 3, which has been an incredible number, really. For those of you that are Bank to the Future shareholders via our parent company, BF Global, we will be sending out an email and we will be doing a shareholder webinar in a new format next week. Look out for your email inbox for that, and we'll also post details on the Investor Zone. We're going to be doing an actual webinar as a private webinar rather than having one of these public videos on YouTube, and we'll be using the Slido board so you can ask your questions in advance as well. Look out, probably an email will be coming for that. So that's the shareholder update. And we want to make sure that you get some of the announcements first before we actually release them on BF Live around many of the new products, the new regulatory registrations that we've been making. And also for those of you that love your primary markets, we know that everybody's been asking about new deals on the primary markets. We've currently got 5 deals that are in the due diligence process right now, and they should be coming in the months ahead. So in summary, we've got those new features thanks to our virtual asset services that we have been working on. So you can now swap your Bitcoin dividends, exit proceeds, and any funds that you hold on Bank to the Future or distributions that are not tokens into either Bitcoin, Ethereum, or stable coins. You can deposit any currency supported by Swift and it will be converted into a stable coin as a really easy way of onboarding into the ecosystem. And I gave you many of those investor updates, and we'll be covering more of those, more secondary market deals, more corporate actions, more primary market deals coming through. And also in terms of the oversubscribed situation, Bank to the Future right now is completely oversubscribed for accounts. We're working, we have been bringing in new people that are going through training at the moment, but onboarding in a regulated institution when we have to meet all these requirements is not quite as fast as a usual early stage company might be able to adjust to. But we have significantly increased the size of the team. And they're going through the training process so that we can make sure that we can get account opening back on track. We currently have approximately a 2 weeks waiting list for new accounts on Bank to the Future. In the coming weeks, as our new team become more and more trained, we hope to reduce that to a week and then back to our old 48 hours. To give you insights, there's been a lot of changes as the market went over to $2 trillion. Regulators are starting to really take this asset class very seriously. And regulators around the world are looking to upgrade many of the crypto exchanges to some of the same standards that banks have to adhere to. And at Bank to the Future, we've always made sure that we're trying to stay one step ahead of the compliance, to the detriment of our relationship with customers, unfortunately, because our investors want things fast and how they're used to. But the reason we've survived a decade is because we've always made sure that we've stayed on top of those, while many different crackdowns are happening for those that are not adhering to many of the restrictions that unfortunately are part of the parcel of running a centralized regulated service in this sector, and things are getting tougher. So while we've been trying to speed up and doubling resources, regulations are making things slower in order to meet those regulatory obligations. New portfolio builder products coming out for retirement plan B, as we said, massive increases in volume on our secondary market, which is a steady increase we like to see. And mentioned updates on many of those other public offerings that look like they're coming through, and many other companies that are locking in paper returns and distributions and offers. So those are all the updates that I've got for you. And hopefully I'm going to go back to the screen. We should be able to share some of the Slido board and take some of your questions and answer some of those important questions. So Zod, if you're still with us and we're still streaming, then could you share the Slido board? Great. Good to see that's working.
Yeah, we got some questions come through, and sorry everyone for those of you who got an email from us letting you know about this live stream, and for those of you who've joined us, thank you very much. So the first question that we've got is, can one of Bank to the Future's missions be to get the Bank to the Future token or BFT token to $100? That will make us more money than any other crypto coins or equity put together. Thanks in advance.
Well, so Bank to the Future is a utility token, which means that it's a function of how our investors use them. So our job is not to put the price up, because then it would be a security. And if it were a security, it could not trade on cryptocurrency exchanges. And it could only be on, for example, the Bank to the Future secondary market or other exchanges that are able to trade securities. So when people have tokens that offer returns, then they are at danger of making them securities, and then it doesn't really fulfill some of that. So the utility token is that we have the use case. The use case is getting more and more popular. And as more and more people use the use case, people are willing to pay a higher price in order to purchase those tokens. So we will continue doing what we're doing. And retirement plan B, as we launch our pension products, later this year and into next year as well, we'll look at how we can increase the utility of the Bank to the Future token. But in terms of us getting the price up to $100, that is all dependent upon the community building a network effect and us building more and more services where people want to use them. So we are happy to see that more and more people are paying higher prices and willing to pay higher prices for that utility. But if you're looking to invest, then that's where you build a portfolio on Bank to the Future, and the utility token is a function of much of the network effect that's being created around using the token for what it was originally designed for.
Question from Anonymous. Why do you never mention Uphold? It's a great platform and very easy to onboard to crypto these days, instantly. Always thought this would become bigger than Coinbase. I'd like to buy more shares. Will they be on the secondary market soon?
Uphold is a great company, and we were very early investors in Uphold. So congratulations to all the investors on the platform that invested in Uphold. They, have made an incredible movement back after a few hiccups along the way. But yeah, Uphold is a great platform, and it's certainly in the queue for completing due diligence. The challenge that we have, just to let you know, is that when we do multiple funding rounds for a company, sometimes companies issue more than one class of shares. The complication with that is that each class of share has to be as similar as it can be in order to make it to our secondary market. So when shares are very, very different by rights, it creates additional complexities that we will tackle, of course. But I know that Uphold did more than one funding round. But we'll look to, it's in the queue for due diligence to be on our secondary market, and our legal team will be investigating that. And certainly we'll look to update you on the progress of Uphold as we get more details on whether it will make it to our secondary market. It certainly makes it in terms of the progress of the company, the brand, and enough people knowing about it to qualify for our secondary market. So thank you for that suggestion.
The next question from Anonymous. Will there be new benefits soon for holding BFT on the platform? Will there be a new premium status for 1 million plus BFT?
At the moment, we have not made a new membership for 1 million BFT. At the moment, we're just trying to cater to the demand at the moment and make sure that we deliver upon what we've already said we're going to do. So that has been the primary focus. We've also been adding more resources to our technical team. That's been an interesting challenge as we went through a technical audit as part of our registration process. Made us a more technical team, but it's meant that we've had less time for developing and had to get a lot of that documentation and everything together in order to make the next registrations that we've been doing. But no plans at the moment. We'll be looking at integrating it into the Bank to the Future, the retirement plan B ecosystem at some stage in the future, but we really want to do our first couple of rounds of that. And we are seeing more than enough demand based upon the existing utility, and that has produced almost a 1,400% increase in the last year in the price of the token. So that's what we've got plans for right now, and we've got a lot that we want to build before we release anything new with that side.
Okay, question from Anonymous. Bitcoin Capital 1, 2, and 3 seem to be very successful. Is there no money in it for Bank to the Future in creating a Bitcoin Capital 4? Seems like an obvious product for the masses to get exposure to a diverse equity basket, like how EIS structure works.
So we have no intention. I don't particularly want to be doing anything that involves managing money. That's not something that I want to do. So we may in the future decide to recruit another fund manager that might want to do that. But what we found is that through the retirement plan B ecosystem, we have created a process and a strategy that we're looking to release our portfolio builder. And by having an automated portfolio builder, it means that you can get the best of both worlds, where you can set an exact allocation. Whenever you deposit funds, it gets allocated, automated to exactly the strategy that you select. And that's what we're doing as an alternative to actually running a managed fund. We prefer to empower investors by educating them on how to build their own portfolios, helping them with all the structuring and everything that we've taught our retirement plan B customers. And then we'll look to offer a portfolio builder service, which can automate the whole process, which we think is a much better alternative to handing over your money to other people to manage. We think that we're excited about bringing that rather than Bitcoin Capital 4.
All right. Question from Anonymous. How do you value Bank to the Future SPV shares? How often do you value them? And what is the value now?
So the same way that we price all shares on Bank to the Future, the company has to complete a pricing event. And so the way that private equity works is rather than using obscure models to value the company, which is more relevant in a public company, the company needs to sell those shares either through a new funding round, an acquisition, some kind of IPO, and then we update the share price based upon a real price that a venture capitalist, for example, has paid for those shares. This causes a little bit of friction because people are used to real-time pricing of cryptocurrencies and public markets. So it can create the illusion that your investment may not be doing so well. But it's because we don't have a better model of valuing private companies. And we don't want to mislead people by picking an arbitrary number. Because professionally valuing a private company can cost many tens, hundreds of thousands from investment banks and corporate finance professionals. And even then, the methodologies are pretty crazy. So we value Bank to the Future based upon our last funding round, which was at a $250 million valuation. And that's the price that the funding round paid for that. And since then, we do not update that until we do a new pricing event. And so it will stay that way until a new pricing event happens, or if there is a secondary market launch. Now, because of our new registrations, there has been some complexities on doing our secondary market. And that is because there are new requirements for regulations, and we'll update on the shareholder update more details on that. So that's how we value. We wait for a pricing event, and it means in the time. So, a classic example is many people that got exposure to Kraken at a $20 million valuation. It wasn't until 3 years later, because they didn't need the money. They didn't need to do another funding round. They later, 3 years, did another round on Bank to the Future at a $4 billion valuation. And now they're looking at an IPO at a minimum of $20 billion valuation. But they for that time, it was still stuck at the $20 million valuation, because there's no good way of estimating without getting professional auditors to value those companies. And what we do at Bank to the Future is we don't do what traditional funds do. So a traditional fund, what they do is they charge you what's known as a 2 and 20, which is when you invest in a fund, a venture capital fund, many of the large ones are out there, or even smaller ones, you have to pay 2% every year administration fee, and you have to pay 20% kickback on any returns. What we do at Bank to the Future is we keep the fee low. We only charge 5% distribution, no administration fee, but it means that we don't have the funds that a traditional fund would have in order to pursue legal actions or any of that type of stuff and professional audits. We assume that rather than charging you a 2% administration fee like a normal fund every year, we just keep it free. And rather than charging a 20% upside, we charge a 5% distribution. The downside to that is that there's not often, resources which normal funds would use to tap into to complete some of those things. So we try and use technology to make it better, which brings us to the one thing that we've had to put off even again because of many of the regulatory changes and the additional license applications taking up much of our technical resources, is the rebuilding of the portfolio. So we got the secondary market, which gives you prices when they're on the secondary market. And the portfolio should make it a lot more transparent at seeing the data that you need. But unfortunately, technical resources have meant that we haven't been able to deliver that as soon as we would like. Yeah, we'll more details to follow in future BF's lives when we do more weekly updates.
Okay, Will asks, if Kraken do an IPO in 2022, what will each BC3 shareholder receive for every $1,000 invested?
I can't do the maths right now. Haven't got that maths, but the investor zone is for more specific questions that are not public, centered around individual investments. But yeah, I mean, it depends on many things. But the way that we would do is we would normally pay out a dividend based upon all the proceeds received. And also, if they IPO, remember we would get public shares, but whether we sell them or not would be whether we realize the return or not as well. But it's remember the exposure was at $20 million, and now that's $20 billion. So you can do the maths a little bit there as well.
Okay, question from Anonymous. Why are we selling some of our Kraken?
That would be a question for Bitcoin Capital 3, so you can leave that in the investor zone, but an update on that was posted, so that that was already covered on the last update on the Bitcoin Capital 3 investor zone.
Okay, question from Anonymous. Investors in Bitstamp were taken out 2 years ago at about 5x the original investment. But looking at Coinbase, Bitstamp must be worth 10x more since. How can investors be certain they won't be taken out like this in other investments?
That is one of the risks. So if you are a minority shareholder, then you can cast your vote, but unless you own a large percentage of the company, then your vote may not count. So in the case of Bitstamp, that's exactly what happened. And there are preemption rights and drag-along rights to make sure that you get the same offers as everybody else. But if people vote for an exit, and the largest investor was a large VC called Pantera Capital, and if they get the majority votes, then it goes with that. Now, if you want to fully understand that, then you need to look into your investment agreement. So on every deal, you can see the terms that we enter into, and you can see the terms that you enter into, and you can see unique to each deal what the mechanisms are for that. But as a minority shareholder, we can pass on the vote, but we can't outvote. We don't get larger votes than the larger shareholders. So that is one of the risks. And that is when you registered on Bank to the Future, we tested you and quizzed you upon that understanding, and also one of the risk warnings and disclosures whenever you make an investment.
Okay, question from Anonymous. Is there already any info regarding the second Celsius round, and will it be possible to sell part of the shares of the first round?
As soon as we are given the information, we will create a pitch and we will move forward with that, but we haven't been given that information yet. And as soon as we have that, we will release it, but we don't have anything until the due diligence has passed and all of the agreements are signed and the pitch is ready. No, this is not a secondary sale. It's just a primary offering. So Celsius is selling new shares in the company to new investors. It's not selling some of its existing shares. So this won't be an exit opportunity. This will be a new pricing event so that you can see an increase in the value of the paper value of your shares. And it will create, if it goes onto the secondary market, of course, a new pricing floor based upon the price of the last funding round.
Okay, question from Anonymous. What about making possible to sell Bank to the Future shares on the secondary market?
Covered that one. We were fully intended and would like to do that. Our regulator has stated that there is a new clause that may prevent that. So we're just working through those details, and we'll update shareholders in the shareholder updates on that. If it were up to us, we would do that, but there are certain regulatory restrictions that may make that very challenging.
Anonymous asks, will there be more companies available on the secondary market soon?
Yeah, we're going to be releasing coin payments as our next deal. And then the legal team have a new company to do due diligence on every couple of weeks. So we'll announce new ones when they come through.
Anonymous asks, when will Storage issue storage coins to investors?
That was done several weeks back, and they've all been allocated to those that voted to receive their token exit. If you voted to receive equity, then you don't get tokens. And so if you go into all the updates were posted on the investor zone. And if you voted to receive tokens, then go into the fund section of your account. You can see the wallets there, click more to see more. And if you have a storage balance, those tokens have all been delivered. And we have to do due diligence on every transaction before you request a withdrawal, but you can then withdraw those to your own wallet once that's been completed. So check out the investor zone for storage to see updates on that. Yeah, everything's been issued from our side.
Anonymous asks, what are your thoughts on Nexo and its platform? I hear they're applying for a bank license in Europe and personally find it better than Celsius.
Well, I am a shareholder in Celsius, so please feel free to discount what I say as self-interest. I'm not a shareholder in Nexo. I haven't personally. Celsius is the platform that I use. And so I haven't got really too much of an opinion on Nexo. We've spoken to them before, but yeah, I've got nothing to say on that because I haven't done a deep due diligence dive into them. But we have done a deep due diligence dive into Celsius as part of the funding round and the information that they provided to us.
Anonymous asks, I'm eager to buy more shares in BF Global. When will they be available on the secondary market?
They may not, unfortunately. We've got lots of people that would like to be them, but that is a regulator conversation because we wanted to do that. But regulations have given up through a few hurdles that we're working to try and overcome. But we also don't have plans on doing any existing funding round. So that's that. Yeah.
Anonymous asks, wasn't there something about a big new exchange partner expected to be announced today?
Yeah, the press release is we've given an embargo to one of the journalists. Yeah, that's probably going to come out next week. Haven't received an update on that yet.
Anonymous asks, when we are going to see some money from investments? There are many good standing firms that I've invested in, but it's 5 years now and I do not see any payments.
So that depends what you've invested in. So keep up to date on the investor zone. Remember, private equity typically takes 10 years in order to IPO and get to a Coinbase. So Coinbase started in 2011 and they IPO'd in 2021. They're the first company to do that. And the returns are astronomical for going through that cycle. But this is long-term, high-risk, high-return investing. And so 5 years is very normal for such an investment. If you're looking for quick returns, then you're looking at the wrong asset class here. But we are obviously allowing people to buy Bitcoin and things like that on the platform. But yeah, it depends what you've invested in. That's the typical time frame. Remember when you signed up, we put you through a quiz to make sure you understand the time frame as well. It's very important that you understand this asset class because the returns can be high based upon the risk and the time frame and sometimes lack of liquidity.
Okay, Anonymous asks, is Dogecoin issuance a taxable event in the UK?
You'd have to get UK tax advice on that one. But my guess, and not tax advice, is that you have, for the purpose of taxes, probably sold your investment, which would be neutral if it was done at the same price. You'd have to take that price. And there may be a gain, so it may cause a capital gain. And you have purchased a token, but how your tax advisor treats that, some UK tax advice on that. But the way to think about it is you have sold a share and you have received a token. So you'd want the live exchange rate at point of issuance. You'd have to speak to your tax advisor about the exact treatment in your country.
Okay, Anonymous asks, given that there are numerous exchanges on Bank to the Future, why does it still take so long to get cash on, not on Swift network? And there are always comments on crypto deposits withdrawals. Can't you use their underlying technology or do a tie-up?
Yeah, we do. We have automated deposits. Normally, it's international transfers, Swift. So it's a Swift transfer. And our partner, First Digital Trust, they process all those deposits. So sometimes, if the bank does not include the reference number, it takes a little bit extra time to match up, and we have to wait for you to produce some documentation as evidence. That's what often can cause delays, but it's an international transfer, and normally once they've received it, it's noted the next day. The issue is not technology. The issue is compliance and regulations. We actually have to do manual checks on every deposit, every withdrawal. We have to follow many of the rules that are coming to crypto exchanges that they haven't been following. But as a securities business, we had to follow them all along. And therefore, it's created an expectation that this can be automated. But the automation is something that our regulator means that we need to do a whole lot of stuff in between then. So it's not really a technical problem. But there's a side benefit, which is security, but the downside is that withdrawals take longer. And so we try to manage everyone's expectations. Don't really use it. We're not a wallet. We're here for longer term investing. So time sensitive stuff, you might want to look at alternative solutions like holding your own wallet or crypto exchanges. But my forecast is many of those exchanges will have to remove much of the automation as these new regulations come through.
I guess we've got room for one more question.
Okay. We started like 5 minutes late, didn't we? So.
Yeah. What sector of finance or financial assets, products or services does not yet exist in the blockchain space? What would you like to see? Or is there another sector that you'd like to see grow? Example, privacy, example, BAT, and the Brave browser.
So I think that's up to entrepreneurs to decide. There's all sorts of things. I think every single financial product can be rebuilt with a new iteration on top of it. But the thing that I'm more excited about seeing is doing things with financial innovation that were never done with traditional markets. And we've done a lot of that over the years. We did crypto bonds. We did funds that paid out, Bitcoin mining dividends every day. We did Ethereum mining back securities. We've got security tokens coming through. We had the Bitfinex hack recovery, which was a really great use case. And there's the DeFi space that's all coming through. I think that there's more than enough to keep my interest in financial services. And that's the areas that I'm particularly interested in, but there's a bunch of other stuff as well, use cases. So yeah, we'll keep bringing deals as those new use cases come through.
Okay. Would you ever offer the service of lending? I'd like to borrow US dollars using my crypto as collateral without having to sell.
So we'd look to partner with one of our portfolio companies rather than compete in that area. So our specialism is equity. But as part of the Retirement Plan B portfolio builder, we're pulling together lending, equity, and crypto buying all into one automated service that's put together into a tax wrapper that's inheritable. And we are ultra excited about bringing that to market. And that's really a way that we can do this, but we're not going to be offering loans. We're more likely to invest in companies. So some companies that we've done funding rounds for is Celsius that offer that exact service. And we'd look to probably partner at this stage. We're not in the game of issuing loans.
Okay, could you explain Bitcoin Capital 3's equity in Bitfinex?
Asking the investor zone, but Bitcoin Capital 3 holds shares in Bitfinex. If you head over to the original pitch, there's an assets tab. And in there, you can see the original size of the investments. And if you head over to the secondary market, you can see the price at which it's trading for. But we originally invested at $1. And I think on our secondary market, the last trades around about $13. So I think there's been a 13x. and then all the dividends that were paid as well when they were paying dividends in the last market.
Okay, can
So
you
do the last question now, Azad?
I think this is the final question. There's no more questions given the fact that we've got.
Awesome. We covered them all.
Yeah. Can you give us an update on using BF Global Equity as collateral for a loan?
Yes, I can't give you that update yet, but rest assured it is with the product team. It's been a legal exercise initially. It's moved over to a technical exercise right now, but still, we're nothing that I can update. We'll be covering that in future episodes of BF Live as we have more information to give you on that one. So that's a great place to end. So it looks like for the first time, because of the technical issues and we didn't have everyone here, we actually managed to cover all of the questions. So that's a first for us. So thank you very much for those questions. Welcome back to BF Live. We'll be going live again this time next week, where same format. Let us know what you think of the format. We answer those questions on the Slido board, and we'll be covering as many updates as we can for our investors in the first half of the segment. So great to be back. Congratulations to everybody that got onto this bull market, and look forward to bringing you new updates as we have new stuff for you in the coming weeks and months ahead. So that's going to do it for, I believe, I need to check this. Azad, is it episode 83 or 84? Can you remember?
This is episode 83.
83. So that's going to do it for episode 83 of Bank to the Future Live. And we will see you this time next week. Peace, everybody.